I always wondered what it's like to be around someone who's like method.
But I don't know. I wouldn't. Method is also a term that
What does it mean?
Well, the method. Well, what happened? It started in Russia, right? And then that book on acting that I should know. What's his name? He came, and then the group theater started, and it was like, and all these people then disbanded, and there's Harry Meisner, and there's, Stanislavski, exactly. It's very interesting, and I read all this in grad school. And then the group theater came in, and then Elia Kazan was a huge part of it becoming popular because you had this guy that was sweeping floors at the Actors Studio and then started directing plays, and then all of a sudden he's a huge movie director, and he's putting Marlon Brando, who's part of the Actors Studio, starring in his movies. I went to the Actors Studio, which is based in the Method. That's where I went to grad school.
Is it easier?
And it's very valuable because I didn't know shit before that. I mean, I did a couple of plays at Georgetown. I didn't know anything. I mean, I just loved acting, but I didn't do anything about it. I was terrified as a kid. Like, we did this thing in high school where we had to, as seniors, we would put on our show where we would make fun of our teachers. And I could do my Latin teacher, Mr. Burke. I was like, and I actually sang in it. We sang, and I was like, but I was terrified, Joe, for the whole year. Sleepless nights for a year leading up to it. That's how scared I was in public. I remember doing like a 5th grade presentation with the poster boards about Locke and Hobbes, and the poster shaking so hard because I was so nervous. I was like, how am I going to, what's this fear thing?
Isn't that weird?
I know. But then in college, I did a couple of plays, but I still didn't know what I was doing, but I loved it. I was like Aslan, the server in Dangerous Liaisons. But I still remember, like, I closed the door in a rhythmic way, and people laughed. And I remember I was like, ooh, I was like, this feels good. And then so I applied to grad school there, and then all of a sudden it was like I got a huge foundation of like what I could do. That your insecurities are actually your attributes, your fears are stuff that all this thing that you're a sensitive kid. This is all good stuff, and I never felt that way before about any of that. And I had this teacher, Elizabeth Kemp, who was incredible, who then passed away in my house years later. She was incredible, and she did this basic technique class, and it was the first time ever, because I didn't, grow up therapy and none of that was even, in the vicinity of talking about your feelings. I loved my dad, but I grew up in, the 80s in Northeast Philadelphia with an Irish-Italian upbringing. That wasn't part of the deal. And then all of a sudden in grad school with other guys and women, and we're like laying down, and she wants us to go through an experience of loss and betrayal when we were children. And it's like, what the fuck? And actually I could take all that stuff I've been ashamed of, and I could use it and bring it into art. I don't know, it really clicked with me in a huge way. And I use it even to this day.